It's all about the macro productions.
What does the goddamn line say, Tony?
Please do not use gendered language.
Then what? I'll be arrested, put in airport jail?
Look, you're going completely sideways, man.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
How dare you?
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
I'm Chris Hansen with Dave on NBC.
Jack Marius Tack Theratrix.
Hi, I'm Spartacus.
Jackson, Sacramento, he, him. Steven Seagal.
Sex offender guy.
I'm Keith Morris.
This is Mumbai Kutabi.
I'm Rick James, bitch.
Sorting through the lies.
The hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site, if you can believe that.
We cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
And uncovering the centuries-long plan for world domination.
Learning about Cuba, having some food.
Let's talk about Chinese people.
Have you ever been in a turkey?
You're about
I'm your host. Could the web just hand code on I program full frame testing you for things. Will be right. I say actually a lot of work. When it comes
Post.
Banding.
That's you know 50. The U. To North Texas and here to being stuff I did kilos
Why? Street. I purchase. Pretty nice. Feels so.
make a say $1 the election. Wait, yeah. Paris 3,000 now. To the there for I'll have all looking just feeling flips. It real like actually that winning because of it doesn't
uh, in if you scheme and happen. We were told you did bank and bank these money figure CBC. Take it now.
And class project. Lot. It's old. They just currency staff. Dollars. Central bank. The comp push you like, oh, it's an outside. You know, add up again. I did because it's the Catherine and this money. But it's of wealth, and I part. So there's again, stock and guard. You look of every some the actual Charlie. So pull it out, then they out of the, and this from electron box. That's be in 10 years.
Government going to on something silver admin. They're not the it is
Yeah. Way. But uh 26. Mark, you know, it's over and part of the price. Red system that nine red hang not even days. What
Cybercon fire. I'm burning. He's ghosts in change. I get to what do you know? What's your
I was like a third million. There's team. You're champion. The and on the Pentagon. They were on their way. I not area eventually trade infantry. And brag and he too. So it's a
That recently. I, on a
on base. I mean, he wrote like, into when you down and he took guy with a pair. How can they do that? There's and later, I think it really was some the base can't do it. Or just like many whatever get the could run in. Got every and he them or something about or throwing his so too. So and I unit
The Army came out. Okay. I just think
all the people out there. It's like, we're going to find the real one. He said, if you can tell me what I'm doing tonight, he sent out this message. If you can tell me what I'm doing, then I'll shower you with gold. And the one that got it right was the Oracle of Delphi. And it was a woman, and she sent it back and said, you're cooking a rabbit and a turtle. So Croesus was like, great, I found my soothsayer. And he's like, I'm going to shower the oracle with gold. And he wanted to attack Persia. That was his goal. He wanted to take the Persian Empire. And he says, what will happen if I invade Persia? And the oracle said, if you invade Persia, a great empire will fall. And so he did. And he lost his empire. She never said which one.
Right.
That's the thing about oracles. They're a little different. So, that story, I just reading that story of, a few months ago, and then one of the histories of gold that I have, and I go, is anybody paying attention that this cycle of history is so weird? We did the same thing Alexander the Great did. Babylon, and then to Persia, and then of course his empire collapsed. And the same thing, that's the kind of when the American empire collapsed, Charlie, it's kind of going to be like a lot of like Alexander's empire. All these squabbling, like it wasn't a centralized thing that one person took. You had like the different factions, and the Ptolemies like took Egypt and had that lineage for a long time. That was the Greek lineage of, that's kind of like the line of Cleopatra. So that goes way back. So like there was like different factions who took different things, and that's what will happen. It won't be like a competing monolithic system. I think it'll be just decentralized, and there'll be a lot of different. This will be a power vacuum. So I really hope not, but I see a lot of those. Like, why are they priming us for terrorism stuff right now? Like, why are we being primed for that? There's 1,000 Al Qaeda. There's 1,000 Al Qaeda in the U.S., and they're just sleeper cells, Charlie. And we're telling you this because we're from the intelligence community, and we really want you to know. Like, I don't understand even the information. Like, what does that mean to me? And especially if you know what the history of Al Qaeda is.
Sure, it reminds me. I'm getting Operation Gladio vibes. Stay behind networks that are sort of activated at a future time when needed to create chaos in order to sway public opinion one way or another. And I kept hearing, as everyone else did, when you're looking at the southern border and they keep saying military age fighting men over and over again. Why are you saying that? Yeah, I see a bunch of women and children too. I get that. Mm-hmm. But you're the ones that are specifically saying military age fighting men. So is that because we should expect them to rise up at some point? Or
yeah, and if that's the case, it's like we get this information a lot of the times, like it's like government studies or it's coming from legacy media. So again, they want us to have this impression that we just first of all, you can't do anything about the border, and you're a pitiful giant. You can't have rule of law, but also there's terrorists, and and they're very well may be. We have something called blowback, and Isaac Newton was right. There's cause and effect. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. I mean, that's just common sense. When you blow up people, and you kill their families, even if it's on accident, and you're doing, it's collateral damage from your smart bomb. That's not so smart, which I've seen. You can create terrorists. Yeah. So that does exist, but the mere fact that you're talking about like a worldwide systemic organized network of people that are trying, I don't know. That doesn't exist outside of the intelligence community. They just used it in Syria, folks. We just watched a real-time operation with the United States and Israeli forces using Al-Qaeda. Okay? We just watched it. So, and then you come on the news and say there's Al-Qaeda here and we got to do something. Like, I got in trouble yesterday because, the intelligence whistleblower, and I'm not taking anything away from her. I'm just saying there's something odd. If you know the history of what Al-Qaeda is and, what it tracks back to, it's difficult for me to say that we're not being primed for something. And, there's a story, you should check this out too. One of the things that Chris Graves brought up to me was on January 6, 2021, there was a terror threat by that they were dropping, saying that the Iranians had a sleeper cell that was going to try to crash a plane into the Capitol.
Really?
So on the same day of the infamous, January 6th, which is worse than Pearl Harbor, 9/11, and
that's what I was told.
World War II combined. But you know what I mean? They did. They had. I think they run several operations at once, and this is, Trump killed the Iranian general Soleimani, had him assassinated at the beginning of 2020. So there's something to this. This is unfinished business, perhaps, but I would be watching. I would not. I think the a Russia deal will die down, hopefully. We've done some stuff that's unprecedented there. I don't know if people are really, no sovereign nation that has retained nuclear weapons has ever been struck within the borders of another nation that held nuclear weapons. And we did that in Ukraine. And I'm an amateur historian. I read old history on Cold War stuff, and I know the protocols. And I'm like, whoa, we really did that. The British and American-made missiles fired on behalf, with authorization from those governments, into sovereign Russian territory. Long range. That's a big thing. And it was really celebrated by the West. And I thought, this is nuts.
It's not good.
Hopefully we'll move on from that. But if we do, what you got to watch is Iran. And because there's just that Israel tie, there's that Israel thing, and what threatens Israel is not terrorism; it's nation states. That's the 6-Day War in '67 and the Yom Kippur War in '73. These were threatened. The destruction of Israel were nation states and weren't the PLO.
Let's wrap up with this: Greenland. Is this a resource or Arctic play? Or both?
Well, yesterday on my show, I read, it got me thinking, because in Pat Buchanan's book, A Republic, Not an Empire, going back to 1999 before he ran for president, there's a little history. He wrote 2 books within a couple of years. One was The Great Betrayal. It was about economic nationalism and tariffs. And the other one was A Republic, Not an Empire. What a great book. I re-downloaded it because I own it in a hard copy it's in my library in Branson. Well, he finally gets to the end of the book. He starts calling for what an America First foreign policy is. And, he's all about getting out of these countries and, taking the troops back out of Cold War stations and alliances like Europe and South Korea, and getting out of the Middle East and all the things that I agree with. And but he called for the annexation of Greenland. And he did that he said there's a perimeter for the United States. We already have a base there. There's like 600 people there. So we already have a base. We've had a base there since World War II. There's a great Coast to Coast episode I listened to like 20 years ago where they had like a ghost plane that lands there sometimes because it was going off in between. Or they had like missing time or whatever. It was like a time traveling plane. I got to go back and listen to it, but it was landed in Greenland. I think that's probably strategically I do think that would be a good move if we could finalize that somehow to have more of that territory. There's a lot of resources there, but I don't think you should be able to take it by force. It has to be like the people that live there would need to be incentivized to do it. I'm not for just gaining more. I think the Canada idea is awful, just awful,
dumb,
stupid. The Gulf of America idea is one of the funniest things I've heard in a long time. Like, that doesn't even make any sense to me. I wonder if they do the two stupid things with the thing that's real to make the other, is that on purpose, you think, to throw us all off so we look like we want the Gulf of America?
Can I ask this and I'm not trying to normalize any of Trump's insane ideas, but I heard something, and I don't know if this is true, but it made me think, interesting. Biden canceled a lot of the offshore oil drilling in the Gulf of Mexico. Would it be different if it was now the Gulf of America? Would those be null and void?
If you rename the territory, does it void out any agreement that's happened in the Gulf of Mexico because it's no longer a jurisdiction that you recognize? That's a great idea. I haven't thought of that. I think there's some policy, and they have been hanging on to this stuff for a while, And so you got Trump. So it's going to be, this is one of the biggest open questions in the world is how much is acting here? How much is real policy? How much is, do you want to preserve legacy? How much of it is, because we've already lived through a Trump presidency. So I got criticized a lot for not getting excited about, part 2, The Reckoning, because I'm like, I've already done this. But it's an interesting way to open up 2025. It's like, what? We're doing the Gulf of America, and, Trudeau's resigning. We're talking about, Jimmy Carter is the one. He just died, and he's the one that had that agreement on the Panama Canal with, I guess, making it more like it was Teddy Roosevelt that built it, And I want to say, wasn't it? I have to go back through the history of that, but originally it wasn't going to go. We made Panama basically for it, it was there's a bit of a history there to the canal that's from a bygone era. So that I'm going to take that with me though on the Gulf of America.
It reminds me of John Perkins' book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman. He talks about his relationship with General Trujillo from Panama, who he told him, "Listen, man, you got to accept the deal that they're offering you, or things are going to get bad." And he's, but boom, blow them up.
Well, I look forward to seeing you in Anarchapulco.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you as well, Tony. Where's the best place for people to find your work and support you, and to get signed up to join Wolfpack if they know it's good for them? Well,
appreciate that, and so it's such a proud thing to sponsor you and all your work. I love the show and everything you do, and love the activist posts, all the stuff that you're doing. So we can't wait to have more conversations about that. But anybody that wants to sign up for Wolfpack or contact me, to go to your website, which is macroaggressions.gold. And I believe I got a team. We're going to be redoing your logo on that right now. It's in the works. So macroaggressions.gold. And if you want to contact me or check out my shows, arterburn.gold. That's my last name, .gold. I just updated the website. But I will tell people, and I'm making this announcement, we should have this go live next week, but you can always contact me. Wise Wolf is the only gold and silver broker in America that does not charge you a fee when you use Bitcoin to buy from me for precious metals. There's no fee. It's spot. So you send me, $100 worth of Bitcoin, I'll give you $100 worth of metals, like you did cash. Nobody else does it. We're the only no-fee broker in America, and we'll have some press releases soon on that when the network gets put into the shopping cart and all that. But before, even now, if you can call me, I'll send you a link. You can do it. And so just like you're sending me cash, and that's one of the innovations we're making. I think it's cool to be the first.
Yeah, and the Wolfpack idea is just so smart. It's such an easy way for people to dollar cost average into silver in a way that's, you set it and forget it, like Ron Popeil used to say about you just automatically get a little box delivered to your house. I'm always excited when I get it. That's the great Tony Arterburn, everybody. Go support his work. Go check out if you're interested in gold and silver. It's the best place to go to find it. And if you want to connect with me, the website, macroaggressions.io. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you again soon.